Hello, my most amazing scholars of truth, goodness, and beauty. How are you today? Well, 3G scholars, we are going to finish sketching today. Now, some of you may have gone ahead and done all 4 of your segments already, but I have only done 1, and I want to make sure you have enough time to get all 4 of them done before we start adding color. So your goal this week is to get all 4 sketched out. If you already did that and you're hoping to have some other art assignment, then I would encourage you to do it again and either pick the same animal and try to sketch them even better, because practice makes perfect, or choose a different animal and see if your drawings turn out better than your first ones. And if not, that's okay. You would just have 2 to choose from. So feel free to do a second drawing with a different animal, or even try the same one if you have time to do more art this week. But everybody should be trying to get all 4 of them done. So next week I'll show you how to add color, and we're going to color them with oil pastels. So before next week, try to get some oil pastels to use for your drawing. Okay, so I'm doing the eagle, and I know that a lot of you, of course, have chosen a different animal, which is totally fine. So I'm just going to talk through a few tips and pointers that would be true for any drawing. And then I'm gonna kind of fast forward through my sketching just so you can kind of get an idea of my process, even though you're not copying exactly what I'm doing. If you're struggling, you should choose the eagle and try to do what I'm doing. You might find it easier to draw. Okay, so I already did this one right here. So now I'm going to do this picture of the eagle's head in this segment. Now, here's what you need to think about on your drawing. Before you even go to your paper, take a pencil and try to find the shapes and lines that would make it easy. So in other words, look for things that are simple to draw. So for this head, I am noticing that there is a curve like a rainbow up here, and then it goes down to the edge here. So that's a line I feel like I could draw pretty easily. Of course, with the eye, I'm noticing a circle here and a smaller circle inside. With the beak, I see a V. This makes a V shape, but then this curves down. And so that kind of a curve right there is an important curve. And then another V shape here, and then back. So, like, think of things that might remind you of, things that you feel like you could draw. So this kind of a shape right here is like a V with 2 big curves on the end. And then there's a horizontal line here, no problem, and a diagonal downhill curve right here. And then these feathers just follow a zigzaggy pattern, and it's random zigzags. They shouldn't all be the same size. Now I feel like I could draw that without too much trouble, because those are pretty simple curves, lines, and shapes. Now the other thing you should think about is the spacing. That is so important. If I just drew that exactly right here in this little space, there would be way too much background. This rectangle is at least 3 times bigger than this one. So I need to think about, where does it stop? Where does it start? Does it reach the corner? And use those guidelines on your paper. So as you can see, my picture of the eagle starts in this corner down here. So I should start in the corner of my paper, and it's just going to curve up. And now I need to know where I'm aiming for. I think about that sometimes when I draw. So in my head, like, I pretend I'm going to draw it up here, and I know that the top of the eagle's head should touch the top of my paper, or really close to it, okay? So then that gives me an idea of how I need to make this curve. All right, so I'm just gonna do it real sketchy. Instead of just drawing a quick line that's gonna be kind of hard to erase, I'm gonna do light and sketchy. And then when I look at the other part here, I got to think about how far down does this go. And it's like, if I divided this into fourths, it would be about a fourth of the way down. So I think, well, that's half, and fourth is about right here. So I'm just, in my head, I'm thinking I'm gonna go down about a fourth of the way. Now, I'm gonna look here at this beak. And the beak only, it doesn't go way out to the edge, does it? It doesn't go way out here. It just bumps out a little bit. So now I'm gonna try to make that curve and just have it go out a little bit and make that V shape right there. And I remember thinking that seemed like a V with two big curves on it. So now I gotta put the other curve here, and that's gonna go towards the middle. Now, of course, when I use color, I'm going to add more detail, erase some of those pencil lines, make it look more textured. But for now, that's exactly what I need. Okay, now I'm going to look at this one with the talons. This one looks a little trickier. Let's see if I can find some shapes that might help me. All right, well, first of all, the main shape I see right here, if I outline that, gonna have some zigzags there, okay? It's going to go from top to almost at the bottom with a curve and some zigzags. And then comes up like that. So sometimes just outlining it first helps you see what you need to draw in your space. Now I'll come back and look at the other parts in just a minute. But what I usually pick to draw first is the part that is taking up the most space, so I can make sure I get that situated just right so it takes up the right amount of space. All right, so let's see where this is on my paper. Would you say that that line right there is about halfway across? So then I gotta find my halfway point here and make a little mark. And then this part right here is about a fourth of the way. And so I got to make another little mark about there. And now I know how wide that part needs to be. Then I said this goes down here, and that kind of stops in between those. So I'm going to go in between those and put a little mark here, and that's where I'm going to aim for. So when you're first drawing your big shape, you need to try to mark off places that you're aiming for and look at the shape of your paper. I'm going to focus on the beak because I see that peeking in right here. So that's that same V shape with the curves on it. So I'm just gonna go right about there. Add that in. Little nostril, little extra line there. Okay, I think that's good. Now with my colors, I'll be adding in these wing shapes here, but I'm just gonna really lightly kind of remind myself that those are gonna be important texture for the wings. Okay, one more left. Ooh, this is gonna be fun. So I hope that with whatever animal you're doing, you got a close-up of the eye, because I think it's gonna be really fun to color that with our oil pastels. All right, so I need to make sure to put in the shapes and the lines that I see. So I'm gonna start with this one here because I think that'll be easy to place. So I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna curve like this, and go off the page. Now, I don't think I'm gonna worry about drawing in all these little shaded feathers, because I think I'll just do that with my oil crayons. So really the only other thing I need to draw is the eye. So I will start with this circle, and then I'll do this circle, and then I'll do this circle that turns into a little bit of a point right there. All right, now I need to make sure it's big enough. So really, maybe I should start with the outside one, and I should set up some guidelines. It should be pretty close to the top, pretty close to the side, and a little further away from the bottom, and then over here like that. So I'm hoping I gotta make it so that this is, the outside circle is about this big. So I'm just gonna sketch around it with little sketchy lines and put a point right there. Then I almost feel like I wish I could trace a circle, because drawing a perfect circle is tricky. Oh yeah, that might work. I think I'll use this one to trace. So if you have a circle, feel free to grab something that looks about the right size and trace around it. That's a good trick. Just kind of sketchy. Yep. And then I don't think I have something small enough for the middle, so I'll just sketch that myself. All right, and you can always erase and fix if it's not quite right. All right, now all the detail with that eye, I'm gonna have to add in with the colors. So that's enough for a sketch right now. The rest will be done with oil pastels. All right, so that's as far as I need you to get this week. Really make sure that you are happy with your sketch. If you draw out a sketch and you don't like how it turned out, use your eraser, fix things, try it again. A lot of times the hard part is just spacing it correctly. Like, look at how much space something fills up. If everything's too tiny, flip your paper over maybe, start again. It's okay to practice. All right, I will see you next week to add color.